Deadly Asian floods foreshadow a harsher climate future, scientists warn. Southeast Asia is experiencing exceptionally severe floods this year, driven by late-arriving storms and relentless rainfall that have blindsided many communities. More than 1,400 people have died across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, with over 1,000 still missing amid floods and landslides. In Indonesia, complete villages remain isolated after bridges and roads were washed away. In Sri Lanka, thousands lack access to clean water, while Thailand's Prime Minister acknowledged gaps in the government's response. Malaysia has suffered one of its worst floods in years, leaving 3 dead and thousands displaced. Vietnam and the Philippines have also faced a year of relentless storms, resulting in hundreds of fatalities. What feels extraordinary now aligns with what climate scientists have long warned: a new normal of intensified storms, floods, and devastation. Brace for a likely continuation, and possibly worsening, of extreme weather in 2026 and beyond, said Jemilah Mahmood, head of the Sunway Center for Planetary Health in Kuala Lumpur. Asia bears the brunt of the climate crisis. Last year's weather patterns set the stage for 2025's extremes, with atmospheric CO2 levels rising at record speeds in 2024. The United Nations World Meteorological Organization describes this as a turbocharged climate, fueling more intense weather events. Asia is warming nearly twice as fast as the global average, and scientists agree that both the frequency and severity of extreme weather are increasing. Warmer oceans feed more energy into storms, making them stronger and rainier, while higher sea levels intensify storm surges. Storms are arriving later and more closely after one another as climate change alters air and ocean currents, including El Niño, which keeps waters warmer longer and extends the typhoon season. With more atmospheric moisture and shifting wind patterns, storms can form rapidly. Even if the total number of storms doesn't rise dramatically, their severity and unpredictability will, emphasized Benjamin Horton, earth scientist at the City University of Hong Kong. Governments have struggled to keep pace with the changing risks. Aslam Perwaiz of the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center notes a tendency to focus on disaster response rather than preparedness, leaving little lead time for future events. He warns that upcoming disasters will provide even less preparation time. Sri Lanka's hardest-hit regions echo the devastation seen during the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, according to Sarala Emanuel, a human rights researcher. She notes that the poor and marginalized, like tea plantation workers in landslide-prone areas, suffer most when disasters strike. Unregulated development that harms local ecosystems worsens flood damage, says Sandun Thadugala of the Law and Society Trust in Colombo. Sri Lanka needs to rethink planning and construction to account for a future dominated by extreme weather. In Indonesia, videos showing logs swept downstream hint at deforestation contributing to floods. From 2000 onward, Aceh, North Sumatra, and West Sumatra provinces have lost 19,600 square kilometers, 7,569 square miles, of forest, an area larger than New Jersey. Officials deny illegal logging, arguing the timber appears old and may have originated from landholders. Economic losses from climate-related disasters are mounting. Vietnam estimates more than $3 billion in losses in the first 11 months of the year due to floods, landslides, and storms. Thailand reports hundreds of millions in agricultural and general losses, with some estimates for November floods alone approaching nearly $781 million. Indonesia's annual disaster losses average around $1.37 billion, though country-specific data for this year isn't available. Sri Lanka, contributing a small share to global emissions, bears a disproportionate burden while spending heavily to service foreign debts, complicating recovery. Experts urge compensation for loss and damages suffered by vulnerable nations as part of global warming impacts. Individuals like Peradeniya resident Rohan Wickramarachchi, who watched his building flood to the second floor, described the immediate need to rebuild and recover. At COP30 in Brazil, nations pledged to triple funding for climate adaptation and mobilize about $1.3 trillion annually in climate finance by 2035. Yet the allocation remains far short of developing countries' demands, and delivery is uncertain. Southeast Asia stands at a climate action crossroads. While renewable energy use is rising, reliance on fossil fuels persists. The region's experience, dramatic and disruptive, serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of the climate crisis, even as it highlights opportunities for proactive policy and resilient infrastructure. What are your thoughts on how best to balance rapid development with robust adaptation in Southeast Asia? Do you agree that current funding promises align with the scale of needed action, or should more aggressive commitments and faster implementation be pursued?